Welcome to Finding Your Sexiness Podcast. I'm here with Jason McIntyre. He's a bodyworker. I don't want to say masseuse because it's a lot more involved than that. Mm-hmm. You work with chi and energy. I'm very excited. So it's going to be a little bit different today because Jason's actually going to be doing some demonstrations on this.
Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me here. This is one of the best things that I could demonstrate to anybody. If you come up to a chair and you sit down so your bum's right here and your calves are on the couch. And you can do this mostly anywhere, hotel rooms. And I'm gonna just bring your head down. Sometimes people don't need a pillow. So this pillow is just for comfort.
Okay.
For you. Most people don't need a pillow, it's more for comfort. So here, and I'm gonna pull the couch just a little bit closer to you. And that whisper even makes a difference. So there's a 90 degree here, and there's a 90 degree here. In that, the lower back goes from tight, and it just softens a little bit. And right now your lower back is sucking in blood flow.
I actually can feel it. Actually feels really good in the lower back.
It's so calming. When our lower back is soft, more chi goes through it. Our lower back, a lot of people know that our diaphragm is underneath our rib cage. What a lot of people don't know is our diaphragm is interwoven here at the lumbar vertebra. And a lot of us walk around with a tight lower back, and that's going to restrict their breath. This position brings in blood flow to your psoas muscle, which is interwoven with the diaphragm, and that all attaches to the inside of the leg. So this all area becomes liquefied. I even share with my friends that imagine your sit bones gently floating away from each other and liquefying the area with your imagination.
And actually, it's really, I feel warm here. I feel like blood flow is going to my lower back. Actually feels really comforting.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. I share this, I have a lot of kirtan clients that sit at a harmonium on stage. And they tell all their friends. And this position here alone has been helping them. And they go on tour and they're carrying their things. They do this a lot and it's been saving them. And they perform all the time. And this is one thing, because they don't have time for a massage. So this is one of those, when one's body is super tight, this position is better than a massage, because sometimes a lot of massage therapists don't know how to work with muscles that are tight, dehydrated. So they can irritate it. They can irritate the same tissue that's already irritated. There's already inflammation in the body. So when you get touch, it can increase that.
And then if you don't have a chair that's 90 degrees, you just put a pillow underneath.
That's perfect. Yes, this is a perfect fit. And when I sat down there for a moment, and because of the length between my knee and my hip, I put this, and this was 90 degrees for me. So I would love to. Can you prop your knees? And I'm going to put this here, and this would irritate your body. This position, the same. You're actually lying down, like I demonstrated before. Your legs are up. But this, because the angle actually irritates your lower back, about here in your spine, like right in here. So I just wanted, this is like what not to do. And then this, you can feel the difference. And then the obverse, of course, if this was lower. When it's lower, it's easier because you can just put a towel.
Yeah.
You can put pillows too, but my preference is towels because of the flat, towels or blankets. It's flat, and it's just, to me there's more contact with the body. Now that this is soft, the chi starts coming up. And then for those of us who have tight in here, this is phenomenal. All you do, if you stay down there, and if I prop your arm here, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, which is prop your arm here. And what this does is now this can relax completely. And I might even take your pillow away, because now your pillow is actually, you don't need a pillow because you don't have that tightness. This is probably a better position for you.
This is really comfortable. I could hang out here and read a book.
Yes, and and if you were to read a book, that's when the pillow would come in handy. You would prop your head. You may even have two pillows so that you're looking down at the book. And then I would love for you to consider, if you're to do that, put a pillow here and have the book on the pillow so that you're not using any muscles. You're not using your fingers to hold the pages. Everything is just self-sustained. And there's no effort. So all the muscles, except when you're turning the page, all the muscles are not being used. And it's relaxing. and then there's a chi current that goes through the body, and it facilitates that. Conversely, if you were to lie straight because you give a lot of lectures, and if you, at the end of the day, when you lie down in the bed, it's like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. And it does feel so good because you're not standing. But your lower back, because we're standing all day, and you're standing sometimes on some hard platforms, sometimes softer, but most times hard, and then our back is going to, and it's going to be hard to drink fluids during some of these days, so our lower back can get pretty tight. If you lie down, that tightness is still pulling. If you do this before you go to bed, then this takes the tissue that's tight and it softens it. Then you could lie down, because when you're lying down, you're actually, it looks like a relaxing position, but you're pulling on the muscles that are already being pulled. This takes that pull out. I don't know if I said that in a way that's understanding.
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So, and the reason why I want to impress upon you that concept is because if one was to do this before a yoga class, what happens is already you're tapped into your parasympathetic nervous system, your relaxed state. Your breathing begins to slow down because your muscles are soft, you're in a different nervous system. In this state, there's more circulation, and then if there's more circulation, more softness in your muscles, you have more access to the neural matrix. So you have more access to more nerves. So in other words, what I'm saying is if you did this, you would get more benefit out of a yoga class if you did this before a yoga class, because you have more access to more muscles. If you didn't do this and you have a tight lower back, you would have that strained, limited range of motion, but limited access to a lot of your neural pathways. This also helps you access, because of the softness and the liquefaction between the sit bones, it helps you access your adductors and abductors, which to me is the most important muscles of movement that I've discovered. Because we have our diaphragm here, we have our psoas inner lumbar vertebra here in the back. The psoas goes through the ilium, the hips, it comes alongside the iliacus, and then it becomes a muscle called the iliopsoas. And that attaches, we have the greater trochanter on the outside of the body, and we have the lesser trochanter on the inside of the same bone. Those muscles from your mid-spine attach into the inside of the body here. So therefore, when you bring your left leg forward, your lower back moves. When you bring your right leg forward when you're walking, your lower right back moves. So there's those washers.
You want me to stand up and show me?
I would love that. I love that. Yes, please. Nice. So to demonstrate, can you just bring one foot in front? When you walk like this, so we're not going to walk out of the lens of the camera, but when this foot walks, the hips actually go like this because these muscles in here go through the ilium and they attach to the inside here. So just naturally, because the muscles are here, that's going to go like that. When you bring the other leg forward, then this lower back goes the opposite. So there's this, like, do you remember those top-loading washers with that thing that turns the clothes? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Well, that oscillates and it moves the clothes. So right here, if I can demonstrate in front of you, if you have your spine, when you move that leg forward, it goes that way. When you move that leg forward, so there's this constant motion like this. That constant motion pumps blood up into the spine. We have cerebral fluids that come all the way down the spine to your sacrum, to the second vertebra in the sacrum. And when you do that, that pumps blood constantly right up through the medulla oblongata here and all through the brain. However, there's a however in all of that. Most of us in the United States, I don't travel overseas very much, most of us in the United States don't move at all in here. That means they limit the motion of blood getting into the head. They do the back and forth, but it's about from here. They do back and forth from here when they're walking, as opposed to back and forth from here when they're walking.
So is that why I sometimes get pain in the lower back?
The pain is from the answer is yes. And then to expand on that, yes. The reason why you get the pain in the lower back is as you're moving, this is not moving at all.
So this part is staying straight when it should be going like this when I'm walking.
Absolutely.
And I'm moving from here.
Yes,
somehow.
yes,
Okay.
and that's, most of us do that. And just by observation, it's most likely because we sit a lot, and you don't see that you see it in all countries, but it's less prominent in other countries where they're going back and forth. And it's really prominent here where we do a lot of sitting in cars and in the homes. Like even in my house, we all sit on the floor. We have lots of crystals, big ones and everything, but the crystals,
So
big ones.
you shouldn't really be sitting on a couch. If you have a couch, you should be doing the 90-degree thing.
Well, right. I mean, yeah, that's what a couch is for the 90-90.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And I mean, it is nice to just kind of flop back and
Yeah.
this is like not the healthiest for the body, but it is fun. So I totally get that. But if you want optimum health, actually but it would take a body to do it. It would take a hydrated body. But that's why you see in other cultures where they're just squatting. They're even squatting when they're eating.
Yeah, I mean, is it like the Japanese is sit, how do they sit like this?
That is so healthy for the body.
Really? Like, just like, am I doing this correctly?
Well, there's variations of doing it. So the answer is yes, and then they're eating, so they're going to have to be. This is correct. This is actually a really good posture for your body. And then when they're eating, they're going to have more movement in the lower back because they grew up in this position. So they're actually up. They're not up straight. There's a huge difference between being, even at the piano, when they teach you, please sit up straight. If you were to take your body and just bring it slightly forward and bring your chest slightly down, it opens up the back. So even if you're sitting at a piano bench, but people often teach, sit up straight, and that compromises the integrity of the muscles.
This is not easy to hold this position.
It's not. No, it's not easy because it's newer. But these children who grew up like that, who never came out of it, it's easy for them. It's natural. It's not even easy. It is easy. It's not just easy. It's innate. Mm-hmm. And through that innate access to their body, they have more blood pumping up into their head all the time. So that blood just keeps pumping through that. That walking is phenomenal for the body. Most of us oscillate from here, and I'm suggesting when our body is fluid in the lower back and in optimum health, we're actually oscillating from even just above the pubic bone and the lower back, all of your lower back.
So we're talking about finding your sexiness, which is about running your energy and your vitality.
Please.
Do you believe in chi energy?
I do. All this moves the chi. But I'd like to speak to what you just said about sexiness.
Yes.
Please consider any ballet that you've went to, any dance that you've went to. Imagine several people on stage, even 16, 20 people on stage. Your eye's going to go to one of them. In all situations, they're moving from here. If your eye is on them, and you're like, I'm watching that person, like you're not doing it consciously, they're moving from there.
So the person who's more sexy is moving from this part.
100%. It's outstanding. It's outstanding. It's even if I put my hands here and just bring your awareness here, there's I made this stuff up. I've been around a few people that have been one of my influential teachers, Ron Fletcher, and he was in the Pilates world, and so I experienced some things that he taught me. But the pubic bone, I pretend there's an energy going up. I mean, this is actually accurate as well. But there's so many rhythms of chi. This is one of endless. It's actually endless. We have endless movements of chi. This is one. But I speak to this one a lot. So when I teach ballet, I teach play this way as well. So from here, lifting up, the energy is constantly going up. And you happen to have a line here which is perfect for me for the demonstration. The energy is constantly going up, and then from this line, the energy is constantly going down. So it's like this constant lift. And even as I touch you here, do you get a sense? And this energy, like your knees are into the ground, so the energy's coming down, the energy's coming right down here, but yet at the same time, there's a lift. And when you're in here, you don't even need balance. You can walk the balance beam in a gymnastics class. You can walk, my friends have walked on those ropes that they hide between trees, and they're in here.
They were doing that. So how does somebody make sure that they're walking like that? Because if I'm normally using my upper body and I'm not doing this, how do I learn to use my body like this so I get my sexy chi going?
Yes. First of all, even feeling the area. And some of my friends have, they come to my house, they're playing with things I have around the house, and happen to have this sandbag that's 15 pounds. They put it on here. And so then they just lie on the floor and they just feel it. Sometimes they lie in that position, which one of my friends calls the hydration pose. It's a great, I usually call it the 90-90, but the hydration pose is such a good name for it. And so in here, it's an area that we've disconnected from. When we sit, we lose the neural connectivity with that area too.
So when you're sitting, I suppose this is all scrunched up here.
It is. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, but we've developed a nice way of compressing in here. But if you really kind of lift up, and you see the children that are not carrying backpacks, you'll see them sit down, but there's a lift, there's almost like a lightness. And even if they get in a car, they're not even sitting against the seat, because they're just, all this chi is in here, and it's holding them. And I've done it too, like you just get in the car and you drive, but especially driving long trips. So in this position, they're still in the beginning. Those people who grew up with this, they're not thinking about this at all. For us, including myself, I have an injury in my lower back, so this is why I've done so much research in here. It was because of my injury that I've done so much research in here. So there is imagination is one of the most important things that I've found in healing. And if you can just imagine lengthening here, but complementing it with a lengthen between the scapula and the back, so there's an energy goes up. Of course, there's other energies as well, so not to discount those, but as a segue to feel the other energies in the body, and to isolate this particular one helps you feel the other energies of the body too. There's many, and the energy I'm referring to is the chi that you referenced. If one was to lift up in here only, you would compress the back. So, but if one was to lift up in here and lengthen between the scapula, then there's more of a lift. Now, the way you're sitting, I want to share something with you. My friends teach in a weekend. And they teach, so when we're at a computer, they teach to bend forward a lot, at the hips only, so you can curl forward, but pretending that they use the word hinge, they pretend this is a hinge that comes forward, and then come back slightly, but not straight, and then they use this one. They say, this is a cue. I go, they must have a different cue. I'm going to share you with their cue. Their cue is, bring your nipples towards your hips.
Well, that one works.
And it's crazy. Visual. Yeah, so watch, it's very slight. So from here, watch this, and lengthen in here. Now watch this. Now I could say bring your chest down. It's not the same. It's a very gentle movement. And I wanted to replace the words to reach more people.
But
it's nipples. It's incredible. It's incredible. If you're here and at the piano bench or anywhere, you just lean forward. Like you can lean way forward. This is not where to be. It's just a gauge where you want to go back. So perpendicular is not a good idea, and it is slightly forward. It's not just slightly forward, but you bring the nipples down. So watch, see the movement. It's almost like a suggestion, and in that suggestion, this lengthens.
Oh, I feel that. Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah,
it's great for the computer work.
Because I'm always on the computer.
Wow.
And I'm slouching over like this. So.
Wow.
And I'm sure that's why I get lower back sitting on the computer.
Yeah, because it's being constantly compressed. And then you can feel like when you're sitting straight up, it really compresses the brain. The brain. Actually, I do refer to this as a brain. So I'd love to have you pretend that this is only one hinge. As if this was your head and this was your hips and this is your legs. Can you bring your whole body forward to about there? Come about halfway back to about there. Now watch. Bring your nipples down. That's it. That's perfect. How does that feel?
I felt it as soon as I do the nipple down thing.
It's the nipples down, it's not chest down.
Yeah,
if you do the chest down, there's too big of a movement. Isn't that great? So that's not my idea, it's my friends. It's phenomenal. And when they shared that with me, that was awesome.
So these things that you're showing us,
yes.
They're getting the body moving, the chi moving, but also the blood flow.
Yeah,
they're getting the hydration to the body.
Yes.
And this is all helping to bring out that vitality, that energy, that health.
It is. Do you know, I work long days. I don't get tired. And I have 4 herniated discs in my lower spine. And I don't get tired. Because I use these elements. They're phenomenal. They're rejuvenating. They help me. And I can also do nothing all day long, which I also love to do, but it's an equal passion to be very fully engaged as well with many things. And I don't get tired.
Yeah, and you have this great passion for your work.
I do.
Yeah?
I'm pretty sure you've worked with like athletes and stuff like that, but one thing in many sports, soccer, football, basketball, a lot of them, coaches will tell the people to focus right here on movement.
That is unbelievable.
So
that's music to my ears.
Yeah, so in basketball especially, because that's what I did in high school, the coach will always say, don't watch their eyes, don't watch their feet, their hands or their chest or anything, look at their hips and it'll tell you where they're going to go.
Wow, so as you're telling me, I'm imagining that, and I see that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
our producer here is just telling us that in sports, that the coach has told him to look at this area here.
Yes.
Because if they look to this area here,
yes.
it will show them which way the hips are going to go. So that's amazing.
That is amazing. And if I was a coach, I agree with that 100%. If I was a coach, I would design the costumes with some odd design right there, just throw the people off. Because if it's predictable, I wouldn't want the opponents to know that it's predictable. So maybe some sort of cut in the thread, so you wouldn't actually see the design.
So what are the major things that people tend to come up with? Is it shoulders?
A lot of people say, I have incredible pain in my neck.
Yes.
And then that's the last place I touch. What I've noticed is our bodies, no matter what's going on in our bodies, it's a result of one thing. It's vague. It's also true. Patterns. Thinking patterns, movement patterns, breathing patterns, eating patterns. The patterns go on. What pattern is it? Is it a collection of a few? Usually it is a collection of a few. Usually it's not one pattern that leads into anything. So people say, I'm having so much problem with my neck. That's the last place I touch. I'm going to touch your scapula, I'm going to touch your pecs. I'm going to get more circulation going into the neck. Usually the neck is fine, it's just being pulled from all the different angles. I may start in the lower back. Oftentimes, our tight neck is from tight glutes, and we actually squeeze our glutes. Like we squeeze them when we're in line.
If you're squeezing your glutes, you can get a tight neck?
Absolutely. And how it works, and I demonstrate through, I would grab somebody's shirt, and when the glutes are tight, you can see me pull your shirt over here. When your glutes are tight, they pull on your pecs. Do you feel your shirt being pulled like that?
Yeah.
That's what happens down here. So most tight necks are from tight glutes. So I remember one client I had, and I said, your glutes are very tight, and she says, oh, thank you. And I was like, she had me laughing like crazy. I was in such a different space, and she was also joking, but it really threw me off. And but then I wanted to, and what I meant by the tight glutes is her glutes had a holding pattern. So if you were to take your fist and just squeeze it, that's a holding pattern. And how a muscle functions the best is it contracts and it expands, contracts and it expands. In our glutes, a lot of us, we contract our glutes and they're not expanding. So the other muscles around it have to overwork. So I go into these muscle fibers and I soften them.
When I told you sometimes lower back,
yes,
you looked at me and you started working here.
Yeah, I
not
did.
the lower back.
I did. So sometimes I see the body as an algorithm. So if you had it, I want to speak to that, and to make the point easier, if somebody says they have a tight neck, I might start working on their bum.
Yeah.
And then they're like, maybe he doesn't understand anatomy. And the reason why, and I want to speak to what you just said about the lower back, is so the neck, I was just sharing that a lot of it begins in the glutes. A lot of the headaches that we have begin down here.
So if you've got migraines, somebody's been a pain in the butt.
Sometimes. Sometimes, and migraines do come from different sources. That would be a source. A migraine, for sure, if the brain is fluid, you're not going to get a migraine. The migraine is restricted circulation in different parts of the body. Sometimes it is the liver, sometimes it is all of the spine. Sometimes it's the sinus cavities. We have sinus cavities here, as everybody knows, but we have sinus cavities here, and we have sinus cavities right here, just above there.
You were doing some strange thing, like massaging around here.
I did, and that's something we do on ourselves. When we open up our sinus, this is great. That's opening up the sinuses, where we come down, and where the bone meets the cartilage here, and then I wait. And when I teach people how to work on each other, I say, just put your hand on your body and wait. And you wait till the soft part of your finger softens into the soft part. They both soften to where you're touching softens and your finger softens. And then you can do little lines, you do little circles. And on you, what I did is I went down on 2 fingers and I followed the bone of the ridge. And what I'm working with is the fascia. Fascia is a connective tissue. And I melt the fascia. And I come down, and the ridge comes all the way down, it comes around. And it creates space. That creates space for all of the orbital ridge here, all of these muscles in here, and in turn it creates space for the jaw.
And what does that do if you're opening up the nasal cavity?
When you open up the nasal cavity, you bring circulation there. When you bring circulation there, it's not as tight, it can soften. Because when it's tight, it pulls on the jaw, and more importantly, because that's obvious. It's obvious. What's not so obvious is that same thing pulls on our cranial plates, all the cranial plates. So one of the first things that I do with a headache, well, first I want to feel the head. There's an algorithm again. I want to feel the head. I want to feel where the tightness is. I want to feel where the heat is in your head. I want to feel where your head is cold, and I want to feel. My hands I've worked on a lot of bodies, so my hands are more in tune where I feel movement. Our cranial plates do move. Just like those bridges in cities that have 4 seasons, they have spaces in the bridge for the bridge to contract in the cold and for expand and contract. Our cranial plates, the sutures, look almost like those things on the bridge, and they do expand and they contract. And so that movement helps generate our homeostasis, helps generate our acclimation to whatever. Going from air conditioning to the other room, even different parts of the same room have different circulations. That's our cranial plates respond to that. Going outside, the sun hitting our head, putting a hat on, or being in the cold, responds to all that, and more. That's just to simplify it. When I go into the sinus cavities, when I go in here, it allows space for the cranial plates not to be so congested. And then it also frees up the jaw.
That's wonderful. Okay, so for people at home who not really done any of this kind of work, what are the basic steps they should be doing? You mentioned yoga.
Yes.
You mentioned Tai Chi.
Yes. I have an answer, and it precedes both of those. The number one thing is just notice. And it's not some esoteric or positive thinking. When we notice our bodies, it is now proven, energy follows thought. If you didn't have any experience in knowing how to work with the body, never mind your own, if you just notice that you have a tightness, if you go into any body part that's painful, if you go into it, you drop into it, you feel it, it'll go away, always, on everybody. So if you have pain here, you drop into it, I feel that pain, and you drop into it, the pain goes away. And then you're okay, then it comes back. Anybody watching can also do that right now, go into any body part, and the pain will go away. Of course it's going to come back because it's there as a result of a pattern, but energy follows thought. So when you notice things, and you notice them often enough, your body, well actually it starts even immediately. Our bodies will make micro adjustments to bring more chi and more circulation. So if you notice a body part, just noticing it brings more chi there. Even if it's tight, noticing it brings more chi. That precedes the yoga because the reason why I wanted to share that with you is if you take this tight body into yoga, whatever got you the tight body, you're taking those patterns into the yoga class. Unless you have an extraordinary teacher, and they exist. The teacher will see that you're taking those patterns, and she'll say, she might touch you, he or she may make a suggestion, and they'll guide you to move differently. They may even guide you into the 90, the hydration pose, to bring more fluids into your body. So yoga is excellent, but it's preceded by just like feeling your body, noticing your body. It's hard. Putting a weight on our bellies helps have that external stimulus so we can actually feel like that's it. Having a nice weight, comfortable weight. Even, this is not very heavy, even, can I put this here please? Even a pillow on your lap. See how you feel your lap? It's phenomenal. Feeling our bodies. I have beautiful friends and they don't have money because they're just like, oh, it's all love, and I love loving. It's not all love. I mean, it is all love at one cover, but they don't pay their bills. And they're up in their heads. And I had this one teacher, this dance teacher, who would say, you guys are just using your bodies to take your heads from room to room. And I thought that was a good analogy. Most of our energy's up in here, not our chi. If you go and try and feel certain parts of your brain, it's a little bit effortful. You can feel them. What all this is, what I want to impress upon you by saying all this, feeling our body, those people, I have them feel their bodies, their lives, they have money coming in. They have money. The more you're in your body, and these people are beautiful people, some of them are incredible musicians, and now they're in their body, and they're having a completely different lifestyle.
So you're saying that the way our body is and the way we take care of our body, the way the energy moves, actually affects us abundantly. Our success.
That word that you said is perfect. The more we're in our body, the more abundance. I have an extreme amount of abundance in my life, and I also have some injuries. So I don't have chi going through my entire body, but I'm mindful and I feel what I do feel. I do have some numbness, and that's why I got into body work. This happened when I was in an accident when I was a teenager. I look like I don't have any injuries because I move the chi. I feel my body, I drop in, I do postures like that, and it pulls me in my body, and I'm grounded most of the time. When I'm not grounded, sometimes I'm in situations where I'm not so grounded. That is rare. But it's also, it's a huge process to get me ungrounded. And it's just like festivals sometimes and downstairs.
And you're passionate, you're doing exactly what you love, which is, this is what is absolutely showing your charisma and your sexiness.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Jason.
My pleasure. Thank you.